Hello, I'm Jim Barone, and welcome to my podcast. This episode here is the episode 1, and it's called Why Voting Matters. And I know that a lot of people understand why voting matters, but there's a bunch of people who don't get involved in it. And voting is one of those things that people get upset with, and they get violent. If you talk to family about voting, you could end up with no family. Because no two people have the same thoughts. I like Trump, she likes somebody else, I like Kamala. It's how you personally feel. I mean, but the problem with that is that if I say I don't like Kamala at the time that she was in there, or Biden, either one, people get pissed off and take it to heart. I mean, me and my family, we think a lot alike, so we're not so far apart. But I have friends of mine who, their wives and stuff, they think different. They think about the other side. And it's fine. I mean, they're entitled to their opinion. But I'm not mad at them because they do that. It's not like I want to say, dude, you need to vote my way because my way is the right way. That's not it. It's not. My votes are my opinions. It's what I think. It's what I've investigated and what I looked at. But when I was just about, I don't know how old I was. I was probably when I was getting 18 or so and getting at that age to where I could start to vote, I went to my father. I said, Dad, I always hear people talking about Democrats, Republicans, and all the different stuff. I says, what are we? And he looked at me and goes, we're Democratic. I go, really? He goes, yep, we're Democratic. We vote Democratic. We stick with the Democrats, and that's what we are. We're Democrats. And I thought to myself, okay. But then once I got married, and we're talking when Jesus was 14, I was young, and I didn't like what was going on. Although at that young age, you don't really think about how it's going, or if the banks are making money, or if the taxes are too high. If you don't think about those things, you think about, I go to work, I make money, if I'm married, which I was during that time. But I mean, if you're married, you buy groceries and you do stuff, because back in the 70s, that's what we did. We just did stuff like that, and I never thought about, well, if I voted Republican or whatever, I could make more money. I never thought that. That's never even crossed my mind. The only thing that I knew is that my father told me I'm a Democrat. But back then, computers were just starting. They were just really starting. So the only thing you really had during that time is you had TV or Gembar. Gembar was the neighborhood, what is he, representative? But you only seen him during voting times. He would come by and he would knock on the door and say, I hope you guys tell your dad to make sure that everybody comes and votes Democratic this week. We got voting on Tuesday or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You need new garbage cans? You got any tickets you want me to take care of? It was that. That's what voting was. This man, who I never see, comes around on voting days and I could get some new garbage cans. Or if I had a speeding ticket, he can fix that. That was the 70s. Now times are different. But back in the 70s, I mean, that's what we had. We had TV. And we would have people bringing stuff around during voting time, but it was always, they only brought Democratic stuff to my house. And it wasn't much of nothing. It was a flyer or something like that. And Jumbar would say, make sure that you tell your father-in-law and your mother-in-law and all 11 of their kids, if they're old enough, to get down there and vote. That was the main thing. And then he was often, I would see him once in a while, but he would never come by the house, and I never talked to him. I mean, I knew who he was. He owned a tavern. So Other than that, that was it. So then I remember saying to my dad, I don't think that I should just be a Democrat because I'm a Democrat. He goes, no, you're a Democrat. I go, why? He goes, because rich people are Republicans. Poor people like you and me, we are Democrats. So at first, I accepted that's what my dad said. But me in my 20s and stuff like that, and I was already married and had a kid coming soon, I was starting to look at things in a different light. It was a different way to look at stuff. Because now I felt like I'm getting close to 21 years old. I'm a man now. I'm not a boy anymore. Even though in reality I was still a young boy. My thoughts were young. The only thing I really like to do is hang out with my friends and be with my wife and drink beer on the weekends and listen to music and play my guitar. But that was it. So at that time, voting was not like now. It's huge, different. But nowadays, we have computers, we have YouTube, we have X, we have Y, we have Z, we have social media, there's so much media now. So there's a lot of stuff that can help and influence how we all vote. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to influence us in a good way, in a bad way, but 2020 changed a lot of stuff. I think 2016 for me changed a lot of things. I did vote, just so you know, I did vote the first year for Obama. He was a good talker, I gotta say that. But I felt that Obama meant what he said, that he was going to help the American people, poorer people, the Democrats. I'm a registered Democrat. I am, still. I haven't changed that, but I am. So I believe that he was going to do that. I thought that he says it's vote for change. And I believed him. I watched a lot of his stuff on TV. I listened to him somewhat on YouTube and some of the other social medias and stuff like that. I believed the man. Voted him in. He got in. We were all happy, man, that he got in. But then as he was in and time was going on, it was getting close to his second term, it was like, Obama's not doing anything for me. I don't feel it. Not because I'm a white guy, but I didn't see him doing anything for poor people. We were all still poor. I didn't see anything. I didn't see wages going up high. I didn't see a lot of stuff going through the roof. Groceries weren't cheaper. I didn't see, everything was just kind of there. It was there. So when his second term came, I started watching the media all the time. I want to change. Obama failed in his first term. I wanted change. I voted against him for the second term. But fortunately for him, all the voters talked, and he got back in. But in the second year, he still didn't do anything good for the voters, even though he talked about doing this and doing that and helping the Democratic Party, but he didn't do that. I feel he failed in what he promised. He was all talk and no real action. But the people on his team was his problem. I still believe that the people on his team were and still are the problem. And maybe he's the puppet master. I don't know the truth. I don't know. We haven't sorted that out yet. So when 2016 came along, and there's this new guy, Trump. He promised everything that I wanted to hear. He was going to end a lot of the corruption. He was going to, because there was corruption like going crazy in the second year of Obama. everybody being accused, Hillary, and it's just a whole lot of stuff going on that I didn't like. I mean, I'm a voter, but I'm one voter. I can influence my household. I can influence my sisters and stuff like that and my brother by talking to them, but I can't make them vote, and I would never want them to do what I do because I do it. That's just not it. I never shied away with how I feel, and all my friends know how I feel about stuff, but I looked at stuff in a realistic view as far as I'm concerned. Help me make more money. Help me bring the price of fuel down. I mean, I drive a truck. I own a truck, so I mean, I'm spending $600 for 100 gallons of diesel fuel because it was almost $6 a gallon. It was for a while when I was running it all over the East Coast and stuff. It was crazy money. I needed change because that was killing my family. I didn't have money to do a lot of stuff. We needed change. So I voted for Trump. Trump won. Hillary was evil. Remember, I'm a voter, and that's my opinion. I'm allowed to do that. But what it seemed like is a lot of people don't really appreciate the vote. And a lot of people don't understand, or maybe they understand, but they don't want to think about it. Because I know a lot of people, I asked them, I said, did you vote? No, I didn't. Why vote? I can't. It doesn't matter. You know, it really does matter. Voting matters. That's why I seen another country to where they require you to vote. They want 90% of the people to vote. Is that a good thing? The part about forcing them to vote kind of blows. But I understand why, if they all vote like that, your country will be the way that people wanted it to be. The people. We, the people. It's our Constitution. But when they have voting, they always complain about cheating. Do I think there was cheating going on? I do. My opinion. But what should have been done? Why is this such a big thing? The big thing is the true people. If Biden would have won, or in the very first time, or whoever it was, if Hillary would have won, I would not have liked it. But if the people voted and it was true and the voting was honest and she won, she's my president. I wouldn't be a happy camper, but okay. I'm not going to go down to City Hall, and I'm not going to go to the White House and stand out there with a freaking sign saying Hillary sucks and why did she win? They cheated. If it was a fair election. If it was fair and she won, she won. If Biden won against Trump and it was fair, he won. But I don't feel that's what happened. And they showed a lot, and they complained a lot, and I know Trump argued a lot, but they found some cheating and stuff like that. But back in the day, when they had voting, it was paper ballots. And I know that's old-fashioned. Here's my vote. Well, the vote's not right. Get all the paper together and let's have people stand there and watch me count. 1 for Trump, 1 for Biden, 1 for... and go through the paper. It's not like 6,000 votes just changed to Trump. 30,000 just changed for Biden. That's fraud and cheating, and it's unfair, and it's killing our country. We need the paper ballot, only because to make it fair. I don't want anything that's not fair. If Biden won, he won. As long as it's legal and as long as it's honest. My mother and father, I think, and my dead son, I think they voted in 16 and maybe in 20. They shouldn't be voting. They're all three dead. But I'll bet they did. I wish I could check that. I wish there was a way that I could see if my mother and father had been voting. I'd like to know if my mother and father and my son are still getting Social Security. But that's another thing, and I don't want to go into that right now. But still, it's honesty. What is honesty? We need checks and balances, and the Constitution's supposed to set up checks and balances for all that stuff. But they're able to hack in and change votes and stuff like that. That's not right, and it needs to be fixed because we need to have our stuff honest. We need our voting to be right. We don't need the Democrats or anybody else to bring in 20 million people to vote for Democrats and then throw them away when they're done. And I don't think that the people should be paying for all these illegal aliens that are here. This is another story. But the votes are there. It's about the vote. Some of them were allowed to vote, so they say. Is it true? I have no idea. I'm just telling you what the media says. I think that there's just a lot of stuff, and that's why our voting is so essential to be correct. It needs to be right. We need to make sure it's right. We need to ensure it's right. It has to be right. We can't show that voter turnout was 370 million people voted when there's only 340 million, and a lot of them are children. They don't show that many people voted, but they show a lot. Or 15 million people are getting Social Security. And they're over the age of 115 or whatever. Let's get voting fixed. But what I don't understand is why are the Democrats, that I don't understand. And this is something that maybe somebody can even ask the question is why? Why is it that the Democrats are so pissed off because we want to have the voter ID? A lot of people says, I can't afford an ID. They're free. Wait a minute. Do you get a check? Or is every time you do something, do you always get cash? What about your welfare check? Is that paper or is that cash? Which is it? It's got to be one or the other. Or it's transferred to your bank account. How did you get the bank account? You have to show an ID. You cannot walk into any bank and open up a checking or savings account without an ID. You just can't do it. I don't care who you are. And you can't go to currency exchanges and cash a check anymore without ID. So what is the big problem? Why do the Democrats fight that? You would think that if I put on the Senate floor voter ID required, everybody, Republicans and Democrats, should say aye, not nay. They should agree to that. Why don't they? That's a good question. You should ask somebody. But really, why don't they want that? Is it intrusion on your rights to get paper money and not have to show an ID? Or I don't want to be hassled when I walk into the voting booth and the lady says, can I, like they used to, because I remember I always had to show an ID. I live in Chicago. I had to show ID. And they checked the address with what was registered and it had to match. What's wrong with that? Everything that I got, my truck, my car, my checking account, everything is to my address and it matches my driver's license exactly. Same on my wife. We have nothing different. Why wouldn't the Democrats say aye? They all voted against it. They don't want it. Why? It makes me think you're cheating, that's why. Because if the Republicans were saying, no, we don't want that, I would think they're cheating. We want it to be a fair election. We need voting. Voting matters. And accurate voting matters. And I'm a computer guy. I love computers and I love the accuracy of the computer. But I don't like the fact that if I can go in there and change 50 or 60 or 100,000 votes, somebody else could win. I could win the election. I could be the president and make 400,000 a year. And then at the end of 5 years, I could have $240 million in my account. Another story. Another podcast. So voting matters. Every time that there's something to vote on, you need to participate. Do you have to? No. You should. Because my father always used to tell me, if you don't vote, you don't have the right to bitch. I kind of agree with that. A lot of people think, well, I don't want to take off the time to go and vote. It takes 5 minutes. Don't wait till the last second and then say, I'm going to go down there and there's a frickin' line of 500 people waiting to vote. And voting, it could be fast. I mean, even paper ballots were fast back in the day. Our population was not the same as it is, but close. But voting matters. Make sure that you vote. And if you don't want to vote, tell me why you don't want to vote. I want to look at that. I want to see why you don't want to vote. I want to see why the Democrats are voting. No voters registration. We don't need that. Why? But anyway, I'm glad that we spent some time together. And next Tuesday, I will have the second version out after I clean up this video a little bit. And I hope that you stay with me. And let's talk about why voting matters so much.